here in Carson City, Nevada. I believe I'm live now, and I believe it's public. I just tried to post a live video a second ago, but it said it was private. So, yeah, so hopefully I did this right this time. The last one might have even worked. I don't know, but I'm trying it again. So, this live video or live stream is about how I modified the platen on my Kalamazoo 1x42 here so that, oops, how I modified the platen on my Kalamazoo 1x42 so that I could use a Cliff Curry angle guide, which I almost forgot to just now put the belt inside of. Okay, so if you don't know what this is a Kalamazoo 1x42 belt sander, and it's made by Kalamazoo Industries, which is in where? Wisconsin, Michigan, I can't remember. Somewhere I'm in Nevada, somewhere that way, somewhere east of me. Okay, so this machine comes with a platen that is not the right size or shape to be able to fit these Cliff Curry angle guides on. Let me turn the machine a little bit more that way, so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. And maybe I'll bring the tripod in as well, a little bit closer. Oops, watch what you're doing with the knives there, Warren. Maybe I'll bring the tripod in a little bit closer so that you can also see what I'm doing a little bit better. Got a lot of machines here, so I got to move a couple of things around. Okay, so let's see. Let's bring that tripod in a bit closer. Let's angle it down so you can see the machine close up and in person. And so I posted several months ago now a review of this machine, and when I posted a review of this machine, I got a lot of questions about it. I know many people have messaged me to say that they purchased this machine because they watched my review on YouTube of this particular machine. The way I use them is I have one setup with 120 grit ceramic belts, and then I have the next machine set up with a 600 grit Trizac belt, and then I strop on a leather wheel after I'm done going from after I'm done on the Trizac belt. And the progression of sharpening for me on this machine is when I first started sharpening, I started out sharpening what I call Cliff Curry style. What I call Cliff Curry style would be on the angle guide, drawing the knife across, either one or two passes, drawing the knife across, excuse me, almost slipped out of my hand there, back and forth. So that's how I started out sharpening when I first started using the angle guide on the Kalamazoo. And then after time, I started sharpening more work sharp style, where I was going and referencing the angle guide and then doing freehand up here. And I really liked that. So now I primarily sharpen freehand up here on the slack part of the belt. But in the beginning, I was using these angle guides like the style that I was talking about, which I call Cliff Curry style, which is, and then turning it around and bada bada boom, bada bing that way. Okay, so let's put that knife down. So how did I modify this machine so that I could fit this angle guide onto this machine when it wouldn't fit when I bought it? So let's take the belt off to start out with. You've got to compress the spring, and in these Kalamazoo 1x42s, this spring that you have to compress to loosen it so that the belt will come off, it takes a lot of oomph. It takes a lot of strength. Fortunately, I don't change belts because I almost never change the belts. This 120 ceramic lives on this machine, and the 600 Trizac lives on this other machine, and the only time I tend to switch them is when they wear out. So I don't have to worry about that fact very often. Okay, so let me pull off. This takes some strength because this clip is really tight on here. I don't take that off ever. So when I purchased this machine, hopefully you can see this. Let me turn the machine even a hair more. Let me move something else out of the way here. Wasn't really planning on turning this machine around so much. Let me get the belt out of the way, far over to the side here. Okay, when I purchased this machine, the platen was much wider. It was about, and I cut out a piece of cardboard here. The platen was about that wide when I purchased the machine. That tall, same height, and that wide. And what I did is I when the belt was on here, I right now imagine the belt being on here, so it would run from this lower pulley. Can you see that? Yeah, the lower pulley there to the upper pulley. I took a marker with the belt tracking properly, and I drew a line on this side of the belt when it was tracking properly, and a line on this side of the belt with a marker when it was tracking properly, so that I would know where I needed to cut this down so that I could fit the angle guide on here, like so. So I took an angle grinder and I cut, a lot of terms in sharpening are similar. Angle guides, angle grinders. I should say in tools, a lot of terms are similar. Anyways, I took the angle guide off, or I didn't even have it on there yet. I just had the lines on here, I should say. And I pulled out my angle grinder and I just cut along the line. So I cut along the line here. Then the steel turned the corner here. It was a 90 degree. So I had to cut down here and I had to cut across here. I also had to trim just a little tiny bit off the right side here. And I trimmed all that off so that with the angle grinder, and then after I got done with the angle grinder, I took a file to this and smoothed it out because I didn't want to catch my fingers ever accidentally on any of these surfaces. So I took a file and kind of rounded the corners here, so that then after I was done with that, I would be able to take the angle guide from Curry Custom Cutlery and slide it onto the platen. I should show you the other part of this. Look, these guys are, because this platen is thick, the angle guides are not easy to get on and off. So there's like a spring. Hello to, is that Ira? No, maybe Isra. Hello, how are you? There's a spring on the back here, and that spring holds the angle guide onto the platen. So all you have to do is shove that guy on there, and it's not going anywhere because that spring is actually is designed for a thinner piece, thinner platen. So it usually slides on there easier. In my case, it's super hard to get on there. So that's how I modified the platen. If you're considering buying one of these Kalamazoo 1x42s, that's how I changed it up. So that then, let's put the belt back on here. Let's get my Trizac. This is a really worn one. I think it's time for me to change this one out. Put this guy back on here. Do-do-do, do-do-do. There it goes. And then we just push down on the top, put the belt back on here. The way that I adjust the tracking on this machine is I actually turn it on and I kind of let it self-adjust. I think that needs to go a little to the left. Yep, right about there. Then I just tighten it down once it's nice and straight. Turn that off. Now the tracking is adjusted perfectly in the center. Well, maybe it's off to the right, like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters, but it's close enough for me. And then now I can go ahead and sharpen. I can either sharpen on the angle guide here, Cliff Curry style, as I mentioned in the beginning, or do what I more often do, which is sharpen freehand up here on the slack part of the belt. So for anyone who's interested in these Kalamazoo 1x42s, I have had zero issues with these machines. They're really solid. The main reason I like the Kalamazoo 1x42, and I'm going to turn the machine sideways again. So now I've got it sideways. This isn't the only reason I like the machine, but one of the main reasons I like it is, let me bring the camera up a little bit higher, is I love the ergonomics of this machine. So many of the machines I see on the YouTubes, when people are sharpening, they are sitting at a chair or sitting on a stool or standing. And as I watch them sharpen, I'm gonna angle the camera even more. As I watch them sharpen, how about I actually like level out the camera a little bit? There we go. That's better. As I watch them sharpen, they are sharpening like this. And I sharpen a lot of knives and tools and that kind of thing, and I can't imagine being bent over, hunched over like this all day while I'm sharpening. So one of the things I really love about the Kalamazoo 1x42 is the ergonomics of where I now typically sharpen, which is up here on the slack part of the belt freehand. I'm standing perfectly upright. You can't really see me. Let's angle the camera one more time, try to get me and the machine in there. I'm standing perfectly upright. Sometimes I spread my legs a little bit to get a little bit better base, a little more solid stance. And I'm looking almost directly ahead of me when I'm sharpening. My head is angled down just a little bit, but I am not sharpening like this, like I said, which is how I see so many people sharpening in real life and on YouTube. And I just feel for their necks, I feel for their shoulders. It's gotta suck at the end of the day to sharpen like that for hours at a time, or even for an hour at a time. And I just imagine the pain that they're in, the neck that their neck and shoulders are in. And one of the things that ergonomic advantage gives me is I try to be really smooth when I'm sharpening. So as I'm taking the knife and I'm drawing it across the belt or pushing it back across the belt, because I'm standing upright, because I'm comfortable, because I'm in a nice position, it allows me to, at least in my opinion, because my muscles aren't tensing up, because I'm not standing like this. When I'm standing like this, I can feel the tension in my neck and in my shoulders. I can feel the stress in my arms. When I'm standing like this, I feel very relaxed, and I'm able to make this movement of moving the knife back and forth, just a singular full body movement, rather than kind of straining with my arms down in a position like this. So that's another reason why I really have recommended this machine over time. All right, this is Warren from Honed by Jones. I went live today. I think I might have mentioned this in the beginning, but I forget. I went live today because I've been watching a lot of Mike White videos. Mike White is Sharp and Right Services down in League City, Texas. Is that right? Every time I come on YouTube, I try to shout out some other sharpeners that are on YouTube that I think do a really good job. And he goes live all the time. And so I've been watching his live videos lately and learning a lot from him. So yeah, Mike, I saw you earlier today on here live. Thanks for inspiring me to get on and do a live myself. This is Warren from Honed by Jones here in Carson City, Nevada. Like and subscribe to the channel if you feel like liking and subscribing, and I will catch you on the flip side. Later.